I think the people at NASA will tell you that something like 80% of all the energy required to put a satellite in orbit is required to get the rocket about 100 feet off the launch pad. The transition in the first days and weeks of an administration is the launch of that rocket ship.
I remember at election night, I could not go to Chicago and watch the victory party. You know, while everybody was celebrating, I knew that the next morning I had to get up and open an office at 9 a.m. And so your election night certainly has a different tone than the other people who you're working with.
The minute the election result is known, that intense, bitter, partisan competition has to stop completely, and a comparably quite mundane, boring policymaking process has to begin.
So it's a different mindset on election night. There's a little deferred gratification for the transition people because their time to be joyous is the inauguration.
One of the extraordinary challenges for transition team is the need to, in essence, replace 4,000 political appointees.
There are 4,000 positions that the president determines.
3,000 to 4,000 political appointees.
Roughly 4,000 people will transition into the government.
The vetting responsibilities are incredibly complicated to actually figure out how you fill those jobs with the right people in real time.
On our transition, we actually had a special room that became euphemistically known as the bunker around the office because so much restriction went into who went in and who went out.
We did a lot of our own in-house database searches about people, so we had a good idea about what the issues were and what they had said, potentially of controversial nature or not controversial.
And those initial lists of, say, a dozen people who might be Secretary of Defense or a dozen people who might be the Attorney General, those lists are then very quickly and very carefully examined.
Mitt Romney never saw the lists. No one suffered a bigger disappointment than he did. And I think in his heart of hearts, he just didn't want to look at them. I'm sure he thinks about it even more than I do.
The truth of the matter, you can do all the planning you want, but unless you've actually implemented the transition, you don't really know how well those plans are.